Welcome to a new planetary and seismic update. My heart goes out to all those affected by the major seismic activity that occurred yesterday in central Turkey. A magnitude 7.8 earthquake, very large, and it was followed by a strong seismic activity, a 6.7 and even another magnitude 7.5 earthquake. In the previous video I showed the critical planetary and lunar geometry that we had from 4 to 5 February. And here's a brief update. As you can see, we had Mercury, Sun and Uranus in a conjunction. We also had the Sun, Venus and Jupiter in a conjunction. And on top of that we had a full moon, which is marked here by the green line. And a convergence like this of planetary and lunar geometry combined can result in pretty large seismic activity. And what we had yesterday is just another example. Interestingly, this is the largest seismic event since August 2021, and that is above magnitude 7.6. This was a 7.8, and the last time we had a similar or larger seismic activity was in August 2021. And I'm going to show you quickly what happened at the time. As you can see, there was also a clustering of large earthquakes, and it followed on a huge clustering of planetary geometry at the time. And in the solar system we see the red lines. I marked these red lines. These are planetary conjunctions, and that all occurred from 7 to 11 August in 2021. And there was also critical geometry with the moon, which is the green line. And that resulted in huge seismic activity in the South Sandwich Islands, 7.5, 8.1, and Haiti, 7.2, and also in the Philippines, magnitude 7, and even Alaska. And that all happened from the 11th to the 14th, following that critical planetary and lunar geometry from the 7th to the 10th. And of course we issued a warning at the time as well. Going back to what happened yesterday, from the 4th to the 6th was critical, and we see this typical clustering of larger seismic activity that started on the 4th, and we're looking at magnitude 5.6 and larger here. And on the 4th there was a seismic increase 5.8, 5.9, and then on the 6th, right at the lunar peak that I mentioned in the previous update, we have this huge seismic activity, a full magnitude higher than I anticipated, because I expected up to high 6 magnitude. It was a bit larger than that, and it was absolutely devastating. And I tweeted about that region 3 days before it happened. That's more or less of a coincidence, although I did respond to a moderate seismic event, 4.4 magnitude in the region. And there was some increased seismic activity, but all moderate earthquakes. And that made me think about the region, because historically there have been very large earthquakes, very deadly earthquakes in the past, and it's been a long time. And that was the reason for me to tweet about that particular region, that sooner or later there will be around magnitude 7.5 again. And it just happened 3 days later, which I didn't know. But it is true that the planetary and lunar geometry were critical, including the full moon. So what we're going to have in the coming days, we see the SSGI graph for the coming week, and not much of critical planetary geometry, but we have a lunar peak on the 8th. There could be some seismic increase that will be tomorrow around that peak. How large exactly is difficult to say. It could be the higher 5 magnitude range, borderline 6 or over 6 magnitude. Most likely. It is the second lunar peak following the critical planetary and geometry on 4-5 February. And then we see a higher lunar peak on the 10th. And that could be some seismic increase. Maybe nothing much is going to happen. With lunar peaks alone, that can be pretty tricky. We can have a significant seismic event in the 6 magnitude range. I'm not just talking about low 6, but that is a possibility. But around mix 6 or a little bit higher as well. Sometimes it happens with these higher lunar peaks like we have on the 10th. We're not there yet, so I will also cover that in the next update. And if you look further down the road, we see some critical planetary geometry coming up around half February, around the 13th, 14th, and that may become a little bit more critical, and I'll cover that in the next update as well. If we look at atmospheric fluctuations in the last couple of days, on the 2nd there was a fluctuation over Chile and into the eastern part of the Caribbean. That could be significant for the region, possibly around the lunar peak on the 8th if it's on the 2nd, so if we count 6 days that could still be significant. We also had a fluctuation on the 4th actually too. The first one is over the Gulf of Mexico down into the Pacific, and maybe there's going to be some seismic increase there. Could be to the south, Mexico, or just a little bit to the north. We had them before, maybe nothing much is going to happen, but that's the fluctuation that we had. It's a rough estimate again. And then the other fluctuation, again, I'd say, we had it before, is over Alaska, western Alaska, down to New Zealand, also marking Tonga, the Kermadec region, which is seismically very active. These are the most significant fluctuations that we picked up in the last couple of days. Again, these are rough estimates, not necessarily much may happen with those fluctuations, but they can be significant indicators. Again, my heart goes out to all those affected by the major seismic activity in Turkey. Very, very devastating. There are still rescue operations going on, and I wish everyone the best. Until next time.